You can make $150,000 a year and still feel broke. You can make $200,000 a year and still find it difficult to rest or slow down. You can make $250,000 a year and still feel like it could all fall apart at any second because it was never about the money. It's about the stress that built you, the stress that you grew up with that wired your internal compass, your internal blueprint for how you move ultimately. And it's about the version of success that your nervous system thinks is safe. That is what survival mode or being out of survival mode is about. This is the thing that I had to really learn. Like, even though I was making money, I was still moving like I was in survival mode. And this is something that I've seen in a lot of the high achieving women that I've come across. So you're not crazy. You're not alone. This is the conversation that no one really has with you once you finally get to a place of financial stability and security, but you're still operating internally like it's feast or famine. Isn't that wild? And like maybe you never even entertained the idea that you were still in survival mode, but this might change the way that you see everything. So, like, have you ever noticed how you function the best when your back is completely against the wall? When there's a deadline, when there's some sort of fire to put out, when there's a plate full of responsibilities, like that's when you're at your best. That's when you're in your zone. That's when you feel the most comfortable, right? That's what feels normal. That's where you perform. If anything, that's where you come alive. Now, look, nobody's denying that, like, you're a force. No one's denying that you're a powerhouse, that you handle things, that you make it look so easy. And that's really amazing. But the part that they don't see, and I might be reading you a little bit when I say this, but the part that they don't see is you don't know how to slow down. And you don't know how to slow down without guilt or without feeling like you're doing something wrong. Like, and this is what I experience too. Like, when things get calm, that's when your brain gets really loud. And so you start thinking about, what are some things that maybe you missed? You start thinking about what still needs fixing. What more can you do? What more can you work on? Or what else could happen is maybe you slow down, but like to the point of freezing completely, where your body's froze, but your mind is still racing with all of the different things that you have to do that you're not doing. A to-do list that might be done maybe, but you're still adding to it in your mind, and this is when like success and happiness and fulfillment start to feel like a moving target in a sense. And so you keep pushing, you keep performing, you keep doing what's always worked. But like the truth is, just because you thrive under that pressure doesn't mean that your body is built for it long term. And this is what I had to come out of, right? I was active duty military for 8 years, very high performer, very high achiever. And my body wasn't built for that long term, not the way that I was doing it. And if you're honest, and chances are if you clicked on this video and you're still watching, you might be starting to feel that your body is not built for the way that you've been operating. It might be starting to catch up with you. And, the thing is, most of us in our community think that survival mode looks like struggle. Okay. But for me and for a lot of the, high functioning, ambitious women that I've worked with over the years, survival mode actually looks like competence. It looks like excellence. You see what I'm saying? It looks like being on top of your game and like always being on and being successful and having all of the receipts, but it comes with some symptoms, some different symptoms, not the survival mode symptoms that you're used to, like being paycheck to paycheck, but the symptoms where rest feels uncomfortable. The symptoms where you can't stop thinking about work even when you're off. You see? You feel like there's always more to do. It like never ends. And even if there's not more to do, you find more to do. You make up more to do. You say yes to things. Sometimes you say yes when you really mean no. And the other thing is like you might feel weak or even guilty when you want a break or even need a break. Like this is what we don't talk about. You plan, you prep, you over deliver, but happiness, joy, contentment, like those things are still out of reach. Okay. And you just tell yourself this is the way you are. But what I'm telling you is this is still survival mode. You might tell yourself that this is just how success is supposed to feel. And maybe that's what you saw. But deep down, if you're real, if you're honest, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And like, you know how to function in this mode, but maybe you don't know how to feel safe in anything softer, in anything slower. And so this is what I want to break down. It's starting to get dark. Maybe, stand over here. Okay. So this is what I want to break down. Your nervous system's job is to protect you. It's not to help you feel joy. It's not to help you feel confidence, just safety, just to really protect you. And if your safety growing up or like early in your career was built on staying ahead, being perfect, staying needed, staying useful, then your body learns that stress and performance, those are the conditions for survival mode. Okay. Maybe your mom worked 2 to 3 jobs to make ends meet, or maybe your dad did. Maybe even your first generation. So now, even when you have money, even when your life looks stable, I mean, better than that, even when you're technically not in any type of danger, your system still runs like it's in a race. It still believes that slowing down isn't safe and isn't even worthwhile or isn't necessary. And what's happening beneath the surface with all this is a part of you is like equating being needed with being loved. And, your self-worth is tied to how much you produce. It's tied to your productivity. And that is why rest ultimately feels unsafe, even if you've never thought that or said that out loud. And that's also why you don't feel satisfied, like ever. Your nervous system can't really let you arrive. It always thinks that there's more to prove and more to do, you know? And that, again, this isn't your fault. And this isn't something that like you just woke up and decided, but that's how like unprocessed stress works, it drives us beneath the surface. And a lot of us, that's something that we inherited. We inherited that from our parents as early as the womb, literally. And I think the part about this that's like, really mind numbing, this way of living, this pattern, this is what our society rewards. This is what our peers reward. This is even like what's envied. Like, just look at the guys, look at the women who glorify hustle culture online with their perfectly curated routines, their perfectly curated glow ups, and always having to do and be more and make it look perfect. But like underneath, and they're probably not going to tell you this, but you've maybe even seen some of these people burn out, right? Underneath, it's taking a toll. And maybe it's even you who's on the verge of burning out, right? Like it takes a toll to always be on. You're always on, even when you're off work, right? Like that takes a toll. Burnout keeps spinning the block trying to come back, right? Trying to just get you to slow down, but you can't. And then you downplay all of your wins because there's like no time to celebrate. There's no time to enjoy it because it's never enough. And you struggle to feel joy, like even when things are good. Maybe I'm just talking about myself, but I don't think so. I think if you landed here, I'm talking to you too. And ultimately somewhere along the way, you just stopped being able to just be, or maybe you don't even know what that means. Maybe you've never been able to just be. Now, you're not falling apart. You're just living in a state that your body was never meant to sustain long term. And that's kind of the point that I want to drive home here. Like the state that I was operating in boot camp wasn't supposed to be the state that I operated in for the rest of my life, but I would for many years. Okay, and this isn't a mindset issue. It's a wiring issue. And, you can keep grinding, you can keep hustling, but I guess the question is at what cost, right? So what does it actually look like to get out of survival mode? Let's talk about that. The thing that I want to tell you, the thing that I had to really wrap my mind around is it doesn't mean that we give up our drive. It doesn't mean that we become lazy. It doesn't mean that we have no more ambition. It doesn't mean quitting our goals altogether. It just means that our body starts to feel safe when we're not rushing. It just means that we're no longer so fixated on accumulating and achieving all the time. It means instead we can actually rest without guilt. Okay? It means that we can experience joy without waiting for the other shoe to drop, without feeling guilty about it. And it means that you can slow down and you can trust that nothing bad is going to happen, that it's not all going to fall apart. Even if you're the safety net for everyone else, you can still trust that it's okay for you to slow down. And it takes a skill to get to this place called nervous system regulation. And when your nervous system becomes more regulated, your jaw softens, your breath deepens. You stop rehearsing worst case scenarios all the time. You don't need chaos to thrive, okay? You don't need pressure to feel like you matter or even to perform at a high level. And you don't have to do the most every single time, even the times when it's not actually even asked of you. And when your nervous system becomes more regulated, you stop earning peace and you start living in it. It becomes your baseline. It becomes normal. And you still reach your goals. You still reach your ambitions. You still, do well in your career. But these goals, these ambitions, your career, they work around you. And not you putting yourself on the back burner trying to work into and around them. That's the difference. Okay, and that's what it looks like to come out of survival mode. Okay, again, it has nothing to do with how much money you make or how much money is in your bank account. It has everything to do with how you feel on the inside. You can be successful on the outside and be in survival mode on the inside. And that's really what I'm saying. So if you've been feeling on edge, even though nothing is technically wrong, or if when you're resting, you still feel anxious and your mind is racing and you're just kind of frozen there. Okay, or maybe you've just wondered why do I only feel good or okay when there's a ton of pressure? This is why. It's not just who you are. It's not just the way you are. It's how your body learns to survive. And if you want to feel different, you don't need to work harder. If you want to feel different, you just need a new baseline of safety. That's what nervous system regulation actually is, okay? And this is the work that I've been doing for the past few years with myself and with my clients, and I've created a framework around it called the Cure Framework. And this isn't about like learning how to cope better so that we can do more, okay? But it's about like helping our body finally realize that it's safe now, that you're safe now, that you don't have to keep performing to be okay. You get to feel good here too. Okay, so anyways, I'm gonna end this one here. It's getting pretty dark out, but if this landed, just sit with it. Maybe come back to it if you need to. And start thinking about what coming out of survival mode means for you. Okay? Drop a comment if you like this, if this was helpful. I'm supposed to tell you to do all of the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe. Anyways, my name is Sid Scott. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.